Hey everyone, welcome back to TalkEZ English. I'm Mizu, and this channel is all about learning real, practical English, the kind you hear in conversations, not just in textbooks.
Hey guys, I'm Lucas. Welcome back to learners all around the world. We're really happy you're here learning English with us today.
Before we start, we want to say something important.
Thank you so much for your lesson requests, comments, and messages.
We read them carefully, and we honestly try our best to create lessons based on what you actually need.
So if you've requested a topic and haven't seen it yet, please feel free to comment again. Sometimes messages get lost, and we don't want to miss anyone.
Thank you for learning and growing with us. All right, let's begin today's lesson. So, Lucas, how are you today? Did you have a busy day today?
Yeah, a little busy, but overall it was good. Work was a bit hectic, but nothing too crazy. After work, I met an old friend.
Oh, really? That sounds nice. Was it someone you haven't seen in a long time?
Yeah, actually. We hadn't seen each other for a few years. I met her at a cafe near my office.
Oh, that's really nice. So you met her after work?
Yeah, exactly. I met her after work, and we talked for a while. We just sat there, had some coffee, and caught up.
Okay, let's pause right here for a moment. This small sentence you just said is very important. You said, I met her. You didn't say she, and you didn't stop to think about it.
Right. I didn't plan it. It just came out naturally.
And that's exactly why we're talking about this today. Because for many English learners, this moment feels difficult. They stop speaking, they hesitate, and they start thinking. They think, wait, should I say she or her? Which one is correct? Why do native speakers say it so easily?
And sometimes learners ask themselves, is her a person, or is her something that belongs to someone?
Yes, and that confusion is very common. Learners often think, if it's a person, maybe I should say she. But native speakers say her. Why?
And then another question appears. Learners think, okay, so should I say his phone, or should I say him phone?
And when they hear him phone, they know it sounds wrong, but they don't know why. So they stop again, they hesitate again, and the conversation becomes stressful.
And then it gets even more confusing, because sometimes they hear her, sometimes they hear hers, sometimes they hear his, and sometimes him.
And learners think, why does English change so much? Why is there a different word every time? Am I doing something wrong?
And this is the most important thing we want to say. You are not doing anything wrong.
This confusion does not mean your English is bad. It does not mean you didn't study enough. It does not mean you're not smart.
It simply means you're trying to understand English by looking at words first, instead of looking at what's happening in the situation.
And that's why we want to slow everything down today. We want you to stop worrying about the word she or her and start asking a different question.
What is actually happening here?
In your sentence, Lucas, what was happening?
I was talking about a real person. I was talking about someone I met, and the action went directly to that person.
Exactly. You didn't describe her. You didn't explain anything about her. You didn't talk about something that belongs to her.
I just did an action. I met her.
And when English feels that way, simple, direct, human, the word her appears naturally.
That's why native speakers don't stop to think. They feel the situation first, and the word comes second.
So, if you ever feel stuck, if you ever pause and think, should I say she or her, remember this moment.
Remember the feeling of the sentence, not the rule.
Because real English lives in moments, not in grammar tables.
Here's something really important we want you to hear. Please listen carefully to this part. The problem is not your English, and it's definitely not because you didn't study hard enough. If you've ever felt confused, slow, or stuck when speaking, that does not mean you're bad at English. It simply means you're learning.
And it's also not because you don't know grammar rules. Many learners actually know a lot of grammar. They've studied rules, cables, and examples for years. But when it's time to speak, those rules suddenly disappear. And that can feel very frustrating. You think, I studied this, I understand this, so why can't I say it naturally?
The real problem is not knowledge. The real problem is where your attention goes.
Most learners focus too much on the word itself. They look at the word and ask, which word should I choose? Is this the correct form? Am I making a mistake?
But native speakers don't start with the word. They start with the situation. They look at what is happening, who is involved, where the action is going.
And because learners skip that step, English starts to feel stressful instead of natural. You're trying to choose a word before you understand the moment.
So today, we're not going to study grammar charts. We're not going to memorize rules, and we're not going to use complicated terms.
Instead, we're going to slow everything down. We're going to look at real-life moments, simple situations, everyday conversations, and we're going to feel the meaning first, not think, not analyze, just feel.
Because when you truly understand the situation, something interesting happens. The words his, her, and him stop feeling confusing.
They stop feeling like grammar, and they start feeling like communication.
And when English becomes communication, speaking becomes easier, calmer, and more natural.
That's our goal today. Not perfect English, not fast English.
Just real English.
Let's slow down for a moment. Take a breath and imagine something very simple. You're sitting in a cafe. It's quiet. There's soft music in the background. You're drinking coffee. On the table in front of you, there's a phone. Now think about what you naturally do. You don't stop and think about English. You don't think about grammar. You don't think about rules.
You simply look at the phone. And you don't ask, what phone is this? That sounds strange. No one really asks that. Instead, your mind automatically asks, whose phone is it?
And that question is very important because the moment you ask whose phone is it, your mind moves away from the object and moves toward a person. You're no longer thinking about the phone, you're thinking about who.
And when you think about the person, the word comes out naturally. You say, it's his phone, or it's her phone.
You're not thinking about grammar. You're not checking a rule in your head. You're simply connecting the phone to a person.
And that's why it feels easy. That's why it feels natural. Now let's change the situation slightly. You're still in the cafe. Someone stands up and leaves quickly. They forget something on the chair. You look down and see a bag. Again, you don't ask, what bag is this? You naturally ask, whose bag is it?
And again, the answer comes easily. You say, it's her bag, or it's his bag, because the bag feels connected to a person.
And this feeling applies to many everyday things, not just phones, not just bags.
For example, her bag, you imagine the person first. His jacket, you imagine someone wearing it. Her keys, you imagine someone holding them. His wallet, you imagine it in his pocket. Her laptop, you imagine her working on it. All of these feel natural because they are connected to people.
Notice something important here. You didn't stop and say, is this the correct word? You didn't think, is this grammar?
You simply felt the meaning. You felt the connection, and the English followed.
Let's try a few more situations. You're at work. You see a jacket on the back of a chair. You don't think twice.
You say, is this his jacket? Or is this her jacket?
You're at home. Someone left keys on the table. You say, these are her keys, or those are his keys.
You're in class. Someone left a notebook behind. You say, that's his notebook, or that's her notebook.
This works because English follows meaning. When something feels connected to a person, his and her feel right.
You're not choosing a word, you're expressing a relationship.
And that's why we say, don't analyze first, don't translate first.
Feel the situation first.
If you ever feel confused, come back to this moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Who is this connected to?
And most of the time, your English will choose the right word for you.
Sometimes it's not about objects. Sometimes it's not about things you can touch. Sometimes it's about people connected to people. When you talk about family, friends, or relationships, English follows the same natural feeling. You can say, her brother, his sister, her parents, his friends. And notice something important. You're not thinking about grammar. You're not thinking about rules. You're thinking about relationships.
Exactly. It's the same feeling as before. Connection, relationship. You're showing how one person is connected to another person.
Let's imagine a few real situations. You're talking about a friend at work. You want to explain who came to visit them. You say, her brother came to see her.
Or you're talking about someone's family. You say, his parents live in another city.
You're not stopping to think about English. You're simply sharing information about people.
And because the connection is clear, his and her feel natural.
The same thing happens with friends. You can say, her friends are very kind. His friends helped him move.
Again, no rules in your head, just people and relationships.
And sometimes it's not even about family or friends. Sometimes it's about very small personal things.
Like a smile, or a voice, or a laugh. You can say, her smile was warm. His voice sounded tired. Her laugh made everyone feel relaxed. These things feel like part of a person. They're not objects. They're not separate. They belong to the person emotionally.
When you talk about these things, you're not choosing a word. You're expressing human connection. So if you ever feel confused, remember this. When something is deeply connected to a person, family, friends, feelings, or traits, his and her will usually feel right.
Trust the connection. Trust the meaning.
That's how real English sounds. So here's the key idea. You don't need to ask yourself, is this grammar correct? Just ask one simple question. Does this belong to a person?
If the answer is yes, his or her will usually feel right. And once you start trusting that feeling, you stop translating from your native language. Let's go back to what I said earlier. I met her at a cafe after work.
Listen carefully to that sentence. You didn't say, I met her cafe. I met her job. You were talking directly about the person.
Exactly. In that moment, I wasn't describing anything. I wasn't talking about ownership. I was simply talking about a human being.
You did an action, and the action went straight to a person.
I met her. That's it.
And the same idea works with him. You can say, I saw him yesterday. I called him last night. I helped him at work.
Ask yourself the same question. Is the action going directly to a person? If yes, him or her feels natural.
Many learners freeze because they try to decide the word before understanding the situation.
But fluent speakers do the opposite. They understand the situation first, and the word follows naturally.
That's why we want you to stop asking, which word is this? And start asking, what is happening here?
English is not about memorizing more rules.
It's about noticing people, actions, and connections.
When something belongs to a person, his or her.
When an action goes directly to a person, him or her.
Simple, natural, real English.